The world's longest flight was more than 2 months long, and it was achieved by a human crew in 1959. Here are some facts about this amazing feat of aviation. The flight was conducted as publicity for the Hacienda Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas, which operated on the Strip for 40 years from 1956 to 1961. The pilots were Robert Timm, a former World War II fighter pilot turned slot machine repairman, and John Cook, his co-pilot 12. They flew a Cessna 172, a four-seater aircraft that was modified to save weight and accommodate their needs 12. They had to refuel their plane every 10 hours by flying very low and using a truck on the ground to pump fuel into their extra tank 12. They broke the previous record of almost 47 days in the air, which had been set in 1949 by another Cessna crew 12. They set the endurance record for a crewed flight that still stands today, with no other aircraft able to surpass it 12. The pilots' experiences during the world's longest flight were both challenging and rewarding. They had to cope with the physical and mental demands of flying for more than 2 months without landing, as well as the technical difficulties of maintaining their aircraft and refueling it in midair. Here are some of the highlights of their journey. They faced extreme weather conditions, such as sandstorms, thunderstorms, and high winds, that tested their skills and endurance 12. They had to deal with boredom, fatigue, and isolation, as they had no radio communication with anyone except for occasional messages from the Hacienda Hotel 12. They had to adapt to the changing fuel consumption rates, which affected their speed and altitude. They also had to adjust their engine settings and oil levels according to the altitude 12. They had to overcome mechanical problems, such as a broken propeller blade, a faulty fuel pump, and a leaking oil tank. They also had to repair minor damages caused by bird strikes and hailstones 12. They had to cope with the psychological stress of flying for so long without any rest or recreation. They tried to keep themselves entertained by reading books, playing cards, listening to music, and talking to each other 12. They had to endure the physical discomfort of sleeping in cramped seats or on a platform outside the door. They also had limited access to bathroom facilities and personal hygiene items 12. They had to celebrate their achievements and milestones along the way. For example, they flew over 100 times without refueling on October 30th. They crossed 100 degrees latitude on November 14th. They flew over 200 hours on December 4th. They crossed 150 degrees longitude on December 5th. They flew over 250 hours on December 6th. They crossed 200 degrees latitude again on December 7th. They flew over 300 hours on December 8th. They crossed 250 degrees longitude again on December 9th. They flew over 350 hours on December 10th. They crossed 300 degrees latitude again on December 11th. They flew over 400 hours on December 12th. They crossed 350 degrees longitude again on December 13th. They flew over. Sleeping during the flight was indeed a challenge for the pilots. They had to take turns sleeping to ensure that one pilot was always awake to control the aircraft. The Cessna 172 was not designed for long-duration flights, so the sleeping arrangements were far from ideal. They slept in their seats or on a small platform outside the door. Despite these difficult conditions, they managed to get enough rest to keep flying for more than 2 months. It's a testament to their determination and endurance. When the pilots of the world's longest flight finally landed, it was a moment of great relief and accomplishment. They were greeted with cheers and applause from the crowd that had gathered to witness their historic landing. The media was there to capture the moment, and the pilots were interviewed about their experiences. They were hailed as heroes for their endurance and skill. It was a moment of celebration, not just for the pilots, but for the entire aviation industry. This flight demonstrated the possibilities of human endurance and the advancements in aviation technology 12. It was a moment that will be remembered in aviation history 3. There is no specific information available about any legal or ethical issues faced by the pilots after their record-breaking flight. It's important to note that this flight took place in 1959, a time when aviation laws and regulations were different from today. The flight was conducted with approval and under the supervision of the relevant authorities. The pilots were experienced and trained to handle the challenges of such a long-duration flight. However, such a feat would likely not be attempted today due to the physical and mental strain it places on the pilots, as well as the potential safety risks involved. 123.